When our ancestors first came over to America and arrived at Ellis Island, they dreamt of a new life for their children and their grandchildren. They heard rumors that life was better in the New World, and they jumped at the opportunity to start over, with family, with work, with life. Even though it took a great amount of hard work for these immigrants to get their lives started in America, these immigrants found opportunity, an opportunity to start anew, an opportunity to overcome their oppressed lifestyles in Europe. Today, if these same immigrants were to arrive at Ellis Island, they would see something much different. They'd sense materialism in the air. They'd see skyscrapers, lush jets soaring in the sky, posh cars rolling down the street, and a supreme sense of self, not family. Americans now crave enormous homes in ritzy cul-de-sacs, enormous summer mansions on large picturesque lakes, and not only one glamorous car, but two. The truth is, over the last 30 years, Americans have redefined the American dream from its original form and have made it, in some cases, greatly unattainable to the average American. Now it's time to redirect it. In order to fully understand this disastrous course in American history, it is vital to look at the problems with the current American dream by examining short-sightedness in corporate America, the fact that people want too much, the pressure to acquire more than we need, and how this past practice has led to today's current economic crisis. Finally, it is important to analyze how we can redirect the American dream to its original form. The first time the phrase American dream was used was in 1931. James Russell Adams published a book called The Epic of America. Adams wrote that the American dream is a dream of a land in which life should be better and richer and fuller for everyone, with opportunity for each according to ability or achievement. Adams was putting forth the idea that there should be a dream for social order and that status in America was different from that of Europe. In Europe, status was given to someone upon birth, but that wasn't the case in America. As the American dream phrase caught on, it changed to mean something a little different, as it was used to represent the quest for a standard material lifestyle. People craved a simple home, 2 children, and the basics. However, this is certainly not the case today. Now, people still crave the necessities, but they've moved beyond them in the search for luxuries. Over the last 30 years, corporate America has started to short-circuit the process by acquiring more extravagant things and personal properties without working. It is currently raging out of control, and it is all because its leaders are making the big bucks for little work. Since 1980, the average CEO's salary has actually skyrocketed 442%. ABC News reported on January 30th that companies are still fluttering away money even though they are in desperate financial need and are only surviving due to the bailout funds issued by the government. For example, the struggling Merrill Lynch firm was acquired in Bank of America in early January, but this did not stop its CEO, Ken Lewis, from handing out bonuses between $3 and $4 billion. Even though Lewis knew that his company was struggling earlier last year, he still spent over $1 million to redecorate his office, spending $131,000 for 2 area rugs and $87,000 on 2 guest chairs. Even though Lewis's irresponsibility is just hitting the newsstands, misuse of money is nothing new in corporate America. In 2006, MSNBC reported that several CEOs were misusing money. An outgoing chief executive at Nike got over $579,000 for remodeling his home, and a new president at Starwood Hotels and Resorts Worldwide received $1.5 million for airfare during his first year on the job. This money was meant to help him commute to work in New York so he could keep his home in California, but rumor has it was that he was using this money to send his dog to obedience school. Corporate America has truly smashed the original American dream of modesty and simple living and has made everything more focused on big business and extravagance. No wonder our current economic system is in disarray. After looking at a few of these corporate examples, it is safe to say that a pattern for a gluttonous America has been established. Throughout history, it has been commonplace that the upper class own multiple homes and lead extravagant lifestyles. However, in the last 30 years, the middle class has sought after this highly distinguished way of life due to the media's constant portrayal of America's rich and famous. America's satisfaction with the original American dream of a simple home, car, and household goods has diminished, and now The middle class seeks multiple homes, extra vehicles, plasma televisions, and high-end decorations. Yes, it's true that some Americans can afford these things, but many cannot. They simply rack up debt on their credit cards in order to attain materialistic wealth. According to a credit monitoring website, Americans are acquiring more and more credit cards each year, and oftentimes they cannot pay off their balances. The Federal Reserve reported that there are over 640 million credit cards in circulation in the United States, with a whopping $800 billion in credit card balances. Only 39% of Americans can pay off these balances each month, which means that 61% of these holders carry a constant balance. Oftentimes, Americans use these credit cards to waste money on non-essential items like extravagant weddings, high-end coffees on a daily basis, posh homes and vehicles, and beyond. The truth is, the middle class feels entitled to these upper-class goods and services. Thus, the American dream has gotten out of hand. So, why would middle-class Americans feel that it's necessary to purchase goods they truly cannot afford? The answer lies within the media. Every time average, everyday Americans flip on their television sets, they are bombarded with advertisements that tell them which cars are the coolest to drive, which coffees are the hippest to drink, and which types of clothes are the best to wear. Yes, the marketing and advertising industry has swayed middle-class Americans away from the original American dream of simplicity. And CEOs and advertising gurus are sitting in boardrooms across the United States, hoping to cash in off of our wants and desires. According to a recent analysis done by the University of Notre Dame, Americans' dependency on advertising has led our culture to being force-fed to us by a small group of the elite. Arguably, this multi-billion-dollar advertising industry now has more control over the American populace than the government itself. Advertisers are using this control to target a younger generation, which will not only spend money now, but for many years to come. Emotions invoked by the American dream and American values are taken advantage of by companies like Regular Jeans. This company uses NASCAR stars in order to target this younger demographic. The Newspaper Association of America website shows that total U.S. advertising volume has nearly doubled in the last 10 years, soaring from approximately $138 million in 1993 to the record-breaking $246 million spent in 2003. The media, CEOs, and big business are duping society into believing that the American dream is all about materialistic wealth. The American dream has definitely changed, and it's time to resurrect it. So what do we do about this alarming movement? It all lies in government and human responsibility. We need to let these CEOs and special elite know that we will not be influenced any longer and that we are going to take the American dream back. Middle-class Americans must learn not to define their happiness by material goods and services. They must also understand that they will not have everything that the upper class have. It is just extremely unrealistic. Citizens must value non-tangible gratification in society and work to attain happiness through friends, family, and personal relationships. If people turn the values around, the government will follow suit. For government officials are elected by the people and are supposed to work for people's ultimate interests. They pass and promote laws which people want to see passed and promoted. Americans must take a stand when they enter the voting booths and vote for those leaders who promote fairness and equality for all, such concepts as equality in healthcare, workers' rights, and beyond. The government must also step in and regulate advertising in a more strategic manner. Advertisements should be limited on the television, on the internet, and in magazines. In Europe, businesses cannot promote will games or interrupt programming midstream. Ads are influencing us materialistically, and we must turn a blind eye to them. If our ancestors could speak with us today, many of them would probably shake their heads in confusion. Many of them came here for opportunity and to live life modestly. They did not arrive at Ellis Island hoping to turn their backs on goodness and turn to greed and materialism. They came for happiness. The American dream is a timeless tradition that is known on all four corners of the globe, and citizens of the world today are still immigrating to the new world to become citizens of America. And the apple pie is still warm.